My ex-wife wants more child support so she and her new husband can save money for their other kids. I told her my responsibility is to my children, not funding the life they're building together. Now everyone's calling me selfish, and I'm wondering if I'm actually the bad guy. Hello, Reddit I plus here. I'm starting to think I accidentally walked into an alternate universe where divorced parents are apparently expected to financially adopt every child their ex collects along the way. So here's the situation. I'm 44. My ex-wife Serena is 42. We divorced 13 years ago when our daughter was 4 and our son was 2. The divorce itself wasn't dramatic by Reddit standards. No cheating, no secret families, no police reports. We simply became miserable together and finally admitted we worked better apart than married. We split custody exactly 50-50, week on, week off. Holidays rotated fairly. Neither of us pays child support because we both agreed early on that if parenting time and expenses were equal, support didn't make sense. Instead, we split everything directly. School fees, braces, sports, clothes, medical bills, phones, trips, all of it. For over a decade, this arrangement worked perfectly. Now for some important context. When my daughter was born, I opened an investment account for her. Did the same for my son 2 years later. I wasn't rich at the time, but my own parents struggled hard financially, and I promised myself my kids would start adulthood with options. So every paycheck, even during rough years, I put something away. Then about 8 years ago, I got seriously injured at work. Not life-ruining, but enough that I received a pretty substantial settlement. I used part of it to pay off my house and dumped a large portion into the kids' investment funds. Then 4 years ago, my uncle passed away and left me money unexpectedly. Again, most of it went directly into those accounts. Long story short, both kids now have enough money saved that college, trade school, starting a business, or even buying a small home someday are realistic possibilities for them. I never told Serena the exact amount because honestly, why would I? The money was never marital property. It was never shared money. It was money I specifically saved for our children. The accounts are under my management for them. Well, recently college talks started becoming real because our daughter is turning 18 next year. Serena asked me if I'd looked into financial aid in community colleges. I told her I had, but also explained our kids would likely have several options because I'd prepared financially for years. She got very quiet. Then she asked, "What do you mean prepared?" So I explained the savings accounts in broad terms, not exact numbers, but enough for her to realize we're not talking about a few $1,000s. Immediately, her entire demeanor changed. She looked genuinely offended and asked why I hid this from her. I told her I didn't hide anything. I simply handled my financial planning privately because we are divorced and I took responsibility for my half of parenting. She kept pressing, asking how much was in the accounts when I started saving, why I never discussed it with her, and whether the kids knew. That conversation ended awkwardly. Then 3 days later, she called me and asked if her husband, Malcolm, could join the conversation. That should have been my warning sign. Now, Serena remarried about 6 years ago. Malcolm has a daughter from a previous relationship who's 16. They're also raising his nephew, who's 14, after some family issues. Together, they have 2 younger kids, ages 7 and 5, so there are 6 children in that household total, including my 2. Malcolm starts the conversation by saying they've always tried to keep things equal between all the kids. Okay. Then Serena says they've told all the children community college is probably the only affordable option because finances are stretched thin. Again, understandable. Then Malcolm says, but now we know your kids already have a huge head start financially. And suddenly, I realized where this was going. Serena asked if I would consider paying child support moving forward, despite still having 50-50 custody, so they could redirect more of their household income toward the other children's futures. I honestly thought she was joking. I actually laughed. Wrong move, apparently. Malcolm immediately got defensive and said I was being dismissive of their situation. I told them respectfully that their situation was not my responsibility. Then Serena hit me with this gem. Well, all the kids see each other as siblings. Do you really want your 2 graduating debt-free while the others struggle? I said those children struggling would not be caused by me. That's when Malcolm suggested maybe I could split the college savings between all 6 children to make things fair. I genuinely stared at the phone in disbelief for a second because the audacity almost impressed me. I asked him if he was seriously suggesting that money I saved over nearly 2 decades for my biological children should be divided among children I have zero parental connection or responsibility to. He said families help each other. I said divorced families especially help themselves. Things escalated from there. Serena started crying and saying I was being cold-hearted and selfish. She said I had more money than they did and could easily help change all the children's lives. I told her She was confusing generosity with obligation. Those are not the same thing. Then Malcolm said something that honestly irritated me more than anything else. He said, "If you loved those kids like your own kids love them, this wouldn't even be a question." That irritated me because emotional manipulation involving children is disgusting. I told him very clearly, I care about them as people, but they are not my children. They are your responsibility. Then Serena accused me of wanting the other kids to feel less than. I reminded her that she created this dynamic by promising more children a future she apparently couldn't financially support. That did not go over well. Eventually, I said if finances were truly that difficult, I'd gladly take our kids more often to reduce household expenses, assuming the kids wanted that arrangement. Serena got furious and accused me of trying to steal the kids. No, I was trying to solve the financial problem she claimed existed. At that point, the conversation devolved into both of them calling me selfish, cruel, privileged, and an asshole. Meanwhile, my own parents think I should help a little to keep peace for the sake of the kids' sibling relationships. But here's the thing that's bothering me. Not once during that conversation did either of them ask what our kids wanted. Not once did they say, "You did a great job preparing for them." Not once did they acknowledge the years of discipline, budgeting, sacrifice, and planning it took to build those savings. They just immediately started calculating how much of it could be redistributed to everyone else. And honestly, that makes me want to protect it even harder. My children should not be punished because I planned ahead, and I refuse to teach them that their future security exists to subsidize every adult who failed to prepare for theirs. Still, the backlash from Serena, Malcolm, and even a few mutual friends has been intense enough that I'm second-guessing myself. So, Reddit, am I the asshole?